Hi, this is a brief video to explain how to leverage DataFlow to compare the results coming in from an API with the dataset that is in your database. You are probably aware already, but DataOps Suite from Datagaps is a comprehensive framework and a set of tools to help you deliver trustworthy data and business intelligence within your enterprise. Let's get into the demo real quick. When I first log into the DataOps Suite, this is how the UI looks like. The numbers might be different for you depending upon how many sources, how many data flows, how many pipelines you have. Now, let me click on the data flows. I will walk you through a data flow that I already created just in the interest of time. So here, I've created three components. One, a code component that I did a drag and drop from the right side to the left side, and I called it an API call because I'm making a call to a RESTful service and bringing in some data. The second one is a database component, which is basically a JDBC, a source that I'm calling it a DB. And the third component is a comparison one. Let's drill down into the details. If I click on this API call component, as I mentioned, this is a code component where I can write some code in Python or Scala. In my case, I love Python, and that's the reason why I wrote a few lines of code to hit a RESTful service from the FDA website, bringing in some data, and then create a data frame based upon my need. This is the information that basically is part of the data frame. Now that I have this information, I also created the second component by dragging and dropping the JDBC component on the left side, and I called it DB. When I click on it, this is a simple query that's going against this particular table that is displayed here. And finally, to compare these two data sets, I created a comparison, a data compare component. And let me click on that. So here, there is basically the list of data sets that I want to compare and properties that help me understand what are my preferences, what I want to do here. And finally, when I click on run, in this case, it's already done. But when I click on run, what happens is DataOps Suite, the Dataflow module, brings in the data from the API, queries the database to bring in the data from the database, compares these two data sets, and prints out the results. So in this particular scenario, as you can see, this information is queued. In a couple of seconds, you notice on the left side that this is work in progress. Once it's done, if there are no issues, you should see a solid green bubble. Similarly, on the database, if there are no issues, you should see a solid green bubble. And finally, on the comparison front, when there are no issues, you should see a green bubble. Let's see what happens. It's still in progress trying to compare this data set. And remember that comparing millions and billions of records is not a problem for data flow from Datagaps. As you can see here, there are few things which failed. Most of these are successful, whereas the data that is only in A and only B have failed. That's because there are few records which are in the API that do not exist in the database, and there are few records in the database that do not exist as part of the API call. If there are any mismatched rows, they will also show up here. So this is a simple example, but extremely powerful use case that we see very often from a Datagaps perspective, where folks would like to compare an API result set to a database of their choice. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to our sales team to understand your specific scenarios and see how we can help you solve some complex testing scenarios within your enterprise. Thank you very much.